back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. It's an action-packed episode where we will be discussing Netflix's original show, Cobra Kai. Just get ready. So, for those of you who aren't aware, in the 80s there was a really popular movie called The Karate Kid. It had spanned several sequels, and now it has spanned a continuation of its own. Again, now we meet the Karate Kid who is now an adult.
He's a karate man.
He's a karate man. And he's chopping those sales prices down.
Kicks the competition.
He kicks the competition.
Daniel LaRusso?
Yes.
Yes.
And where we find our hero was the hero of the movies for many of those. He is now kind of just a jerk.
And the main character of season 1 is actually Johnny.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of a fun take. And you find out that, that maybe Daniel isn't as perfect as we wanted him to be, and maybe Johnny isn't as bad as we wanted him to be, and
If only the characters would have learned that, it would have spared us 4 seasons of the same thing happening every single time. I wanted to smack LaRusso, like, listen, just because he was a jerk as a teen does not necessarily mean he's a jerk as an adult. And frankly, it could be true. But frankly, LaRusso has to get the stick out of his rear, get over himself, and get on with life.
But that's
He did get on with life.
He did get on with
He's
life.
really successful.
Apparently he has not. Because just seeing Johnny is enough to make him get like, ugh. Leave the dude alone.
Johnny's the same way.
I mean, when you're bullied often enough, there's trauma in that, and seeing somebody who bullied you.
If it were that deep, I would understand. It's not that deep. He legit just doesn't want him to
killed
succeed.
him in the movie.
He raises the rent in the building that he's occupied just to piss him off.
Well, Johnny did, and Johnny's, was it
I
Johnny?
like Johnny.
He did paint a on Daniel's face.
Yeah, but it's like on the face, raising the rent.
Oh, that's right, on the
him
billboard.
out.
Also, Johnny and his friends beat the living crud out of Daniel before he even learned karate. So that's
what made
triggering.
him did karate, and that's why we now have a sequel show, which is about the exact same thing, where the main character, yes, is Johnny Lawrence, and you'll see every character that was in the original movies,
which is really cool.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which is nice, and having flashbacks is like nostalgia overload. But yes,
This show, I feel like it could have easily gone the direction of just being insufferable, like nostalgia bait. But I think it did a really good job of not being that.
That's
Yeah.
all it is. That's all it was nostalgia bait.
If it didn't allow the characters to grow and become different people.
well, I'm sorry, Ben, but I agree with that. That it's like the same formula almost every episode, but they at least allow for the characters to grow.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of them glow-ups?
And they grow, they become different people, they acknowledge the mistakes they've made of the past, and it does a really good job of like these old school mentality from the 80s and how it's sort of archaic and just irrelevant in today's society, versus like the younger, more progressive mindset of people of young people today, and the ways that both ways of life and ways of thinking sort of help each other grow, and that it's not just like no one's being fully insulted, no one's being fully looked at as the true hero.
Say that to Miguel's spine.
Oh, jeez.
You got better. There's an injury.
Got better. And
Should've
I think
died
a
from
really
that injury.
good example of a character who grew out of whatever dark path he was in was Hawk.
Hawk
Hawk was
Eli.
great.
That character arc is
Yeah.
And what a smart move of the writers of obviously this is going to be a spoiler discussion.
It's okay. You can spoil
This is
it.
4 seasons of spoilers right here.
Yeah.
What a smart move of the writers to make him the champion
Yeah.
in season 4. Like, and
I'm
not.
so proud of him.
It was just that was an earned story arc, and that actor is.
Well, and also the reconciliation between him and his friend, who I can't remember his name.
Dimitri.
Dimitri. Thank you so much.
Yo, I
You're
love
welcome.
Dimitri.
Yes.
He's just a whiny little baby boy.
Not anymore.
But he
gets
he's
it.
true to himself, though. What I like, though, I mean, I guess, yeah, he would be considered the classical nerd or whatever, but I love how he just doesn't care. And one of my favorite moments between him and Dimitri is when he sees Dimitri, like, on his laptop, and he knows that something is wrong. And how does he get him to sort of open up?
I don't know.
What does he show him? He shows him something on, like, his phone. Like, he gets him to open up. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I
Which
just
season?
love...
Oh, wasn't it about like Doctor Who or something?
I think so. Is it
Yeah, they
really?
were bonding over the episodes of Doctor Who and stuff like that.
And that was
I think it
another, I think, like, check plus for the show is.
Yeah.
There's like normally in a lot of these programs you make fun of the nerd by making fun of the nerd culture, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like this gross thing,
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not cool if you're not like with
Yeah.
your shirt off at the pool, like,
Yeah.
wrestling.
But look who turned the
But he,
tables.
every time the nerd culture came up, that was something that they were both agreeing on, even when they weren't liking each other. They were
Yeah.
both. It was like it was this way of how their friendship was always like very strong. And Dimitri was always like whiny and didn't want to get involved and was a little lazy, and that's what we sort of like sent him up about. Mm-hmm. But like watching him grow and
Yeah.
become like, he didn't like become a champion,
Yeah.
but he became someone who was like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah,
All right,
he
you know.
he gained more confidence in his own ability, and being more truer to himself.
And held his own against Robbie, who's like clearly like the greatest martial artist. Like,
Well, he's the son of
Lawrence.
Johnny Lawrence,
Yeah.
so
he looks like a young Val Kilmer.
He really
yes,
does.
yes, he does.
Yeah.
He's
Yes,
got a
he
very
does.
old time, very 80s
Yeah.
like, biker jacket kind
But
of
I also
face.
kind of like how while you almost think he's gonna be the bad boy, and yeah, he does
He is a bad boy.
bad boy-ish things, but at the same time, he kind of breaks the stereotype, like of the classic 80s bad boy, like with zero kind of feeling. He's just like bad. I think he kind of breaks that as well, where you think that's the direction they're going to take his character in, but I think you still see that he has also like that emotional vulnerability, and he is capable of recognizing vulnerability in others and sort of helping them. Like, I like when he tries to help out the young boy that Daniel LaRusso's son, which I couldn't stand that kid, and I know he's a kid.
Who? The...
Kenny, I think his name.
Oh, LaRusso's son. Oh no.
Oh,
that's-
Anthony. It was Anthony, the little
Yeah,
gamer kid who had like a massive
oh.
glow up in season 4.
I honestly did not recognize him. I know this sounds stupid, but it legit took me. I was like, who is this kid? Like, I honestly did not recognize him. It was like, oh, he's the son.
That's why I said it. Like, he glowed up. He was like in the first season. He was just this
Yeah,
little
but-
gamer kid playing Fortnite, eating
Yeah.
Pop-Tarts and cookies, and then...
And I like also when his dad sees him on his device, and like an epic, he karate chops. He goes, like, if you think I'm playing, boom. Like, he says, I'm not playing. I was like, I wanted to say, good job, Dad, because obviously your kid's not getting it.
Didn't he just order another one right then? Like,
They're rich.
He ordered a new
Yeah.
gaming laptop. Maybe I'm mistaking.
I wouldn't be surprised. They're rich. They can afford it.
But I think it also shows too another aspect of sort of some of that wealth culture where the kids have everything that they want, but there's like zero parental involvement.
Yeah.
And how you really start to get involved when you realize my kids aren't perfect. And I like how both his name is Daniel, the father, and is it Amanda? Is his wife's
His
name?
wife's name is Amanda. Yeah.
Like they
The
both
best
have.
character in the whole show.
She is.
She gets it.
She is so funny. I like when she says when the Johnny and Daniel are like arguing, and she's like, "Can you just like shut up?" She's a great character. But I like how they had to sort of come together as well and realize that their kids need them to also be parents, not just the cool guys, or at least that Daniel was trying to be with his kids. I think that's also very important to know too, how Johnny is very clearly absent from his son's life, but at the same time, Daniel he doesn't really know his kids either, like who they truly are. And I'm curious, were there any hints as to why Anthony becomes a bully, because like when you see him as a young
His
kid,
son?
yeah, like
just
were
a
there any
little-
hints in previous seasons? I mean, sometimes you don't need a reason, but I'm assuming there might have
He
been
didn't
one.
become like an active participant in the show, I feel like, till like season 4, right?
Okay,
Like, and
yeah.
I just think it's them continuing the same like thread they have been continuing, like
Okay.
Yeah.
about like just because you're like on like from the side of the good guy,
Yeah.
the good guy
Yeah.
doesn't, you have to, you have to learn on your own. And I just think like that's going to have a good payoff. And I love how they find ways to keep like this anti-bullying thread and the damages of bullying going throughout 4 seasons. I think it's as fresh and as exciting as ever. And the 5th season is going to be out in July. We don't even have to wait that long.
Yeah.
Wow. Amanda.
I don't know if I'm going to continue it, but a part of me makes me feel like I'm
You're-
going to.
You're going to see the trailer and you're going to be like, God, I have to do this now.
No, part of me feels compelled to do it after binge watching 4 seasons in 2 weeks.
I'm
I feel compelled to watch
it when it comes out too.
just to see how outrageous it's going to be.
I will watch
The
it.
trailer for season 4 was like one of the best trailers of 2021. It had like that Rock of Ages playing throughout it, and just
The soundtrack for this whole show has been so fun.
It's
for
an
me.
80s
My
rock.
mom is an 80s rock, like
Yeah.
new wave person, and
Well,
I grew up with these songs, so I was very excited.
And who didn't die laughing when Johnny and Daniel finally had their rematch in front of everyone?
I was very excited.
Where Miguel and Samantha were like doing
Keeping score. And they double knock each other out.
Yeah.
And it was like just this dumbest, silliest looking KO. I don't know, it was so good.
You know,
Well, it's like it just shows the ridiculousness of 2 adult grown men still hashing out rivalries that are really
Which
like
is called out over and
Yeah.
over again on
Right.
the show. And I just think the show is very self-aware and
what
it
I
keeps itself
what
smart.
because I've never seen the original film.
oh,
I-
it's so
I
good.
know.
That's what made this show good, is though I have seen the first one, I haven't seen the rest of them, is
Yeah.
that they do such a good job going back and showing you important scenes you need to know.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't watched the movies or seen them in like God knows forever and don't
Yeah.
remember anything, they kind of keep you up to speed and like related
Yeah.
to the whole thing.
Yeah, what I loved the use of flashback, like, because to me it makes sense, because both Daniel and Johnny miss their youth to a large extent, and also the innocence that was their youth, and now like they're these older guys. So I loved the flashbacks, but there were 2 moments that I really loved. The first one was when Daniel was talking to his mom, and this is when he and Amanda sort of had, like, he's on the couch, and Daniel's mother comes to him and she recounts this memory that she has of being with him and his father at this like amusement park. And the actress did such a great job of conveying the emotion of someone who has lost someone that she really loves, and sort of looking back on a past moment that you can't get back, but you still remember so vividly. And she really made you believe that she was experiencing those emotions, and the way that she and the actor who plays Daniel connect with one another is amazing. So that was such a beautiful scene. And another one that I loved is when Johnny reunites with his friends and they go on a last ride.
That was
was good.
actually passed away.
Yes,
Yeah.
That was so beautiful how they interpose like scenes of the original film where they're riding. So you see these men who are doing this for a friend who's about to die, and you see them as young men and now older men. And it reminds me of my mom when she says, even when you age in your mind, you're still a young person. Like, she's like, in my mind, like, I'm not in my 60s. And she says, and you remember your youth and like the happiness of your youth, and that you can't get that back either. So that was just another beautiful moment, because you see them riding, and in that moment, they aren't these old men.
Yeah.
They're their younger selves again.
And I think the story behind this might just be like I'm pretty sure it's true. I don't know, but I can't source who told me that the actor like asked if he could be in it, that he wanted to be an episode like that, because
that's cool.
he wanted to say goodbye to the world and have this be like his little moment. It was beautiful.
I mean, what I thought
People
was
say it.
I mean, what I thought was really like cool as well is that they had the original actors who portrayed their younger selves in the movie come back and portray their older selves. Like they weren't just actors that they had gotten to fill the roles, that they had actually played those roles in the original movie.
And speaking of older actors showing up, who was the bad guy in season 4? The one that worked with Kreese?
There was two. Terry Silver
Is like
is
the
like his
healthiest
lackey.
looking human being I've ever seen in my life.
He looks like a Bond villain,
he
like
looks-
a B-rated Bond villain.
He looked younger and healthier than he did when he was younger. Like his skin was like the purple.
It glows.
And it's like all he did was like dye his hair silver. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's his name, Terry Silver. That's why he's like a B-rated Bond villain who belongs in like Austin Powers.
I think every Bond villain is a B-rated villain.
No, but Terry Silver, just as Terry Silver.
Which character did he play in the original movies, or is he just?
He's in Karate Kid 3. He's
Okay,
on.
then
He's like a
he
lackey.
seduces Daniel into he's running Cobra Kai at that
Yeah.
point because
Okay.
he's all mixed up. He's basically just Kreese is just sort of like a wordless villain in
He's been kind
the
of.
third movie.
He kind of just
Delegated
went off
to
on
a
his own and did his own
minion.
thing.
Yes, but he seduces Daniel to fight in Cobra Kai and turns Daniel into sort of a bad guy in Karate Kid 3.
Okay,
Yo, he
I
was
didn't see
nuts.
Karate Kid
Those
3, so I
scenes they
had
showed
no
from the
idea that was a
flashback.
It's
thing.
not very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Karate Kid 2 is not very good. Karate Kid 3 is not very good. It goes into like
It's like the 80s
kind of like
sequels.
it's not about a karate tournament and it's not about
Yeah.
it's like life or death situations and things that like it is not. It
Yeah.
loses the thread.
It's like Danny goes to Japan, and then he learns more about Miyagi-Do and Miyagi and the Japanese culture itself, and then he like finds a girlfriend somehow. Not really a girlfriend, but has a crush on a girl there, and they kiss, I think, at one point, and you get to
Yeah.
meet that
Yep, if
character
you saw
again.
the
I saw.
Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's all I know.
I love Karate Kid, and I actually don't think Karate Kid Part 2 is terrible. I like the direction they go
the
in.
drum. Love the drum.
Yeah. Yes. And I like learning that they delve deeper into Mr. Miyagi's past and, you know, why he's returning and who he's reuniting with. I think that I like that aspect of that movie.
And I love that Mr. Miyagi is all over this series.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
I mean, I can't quite honestly don't think that you could have this series and not include Mr. Miyagi.
Well, he's the
'Cause
very
he's-
foundation
Right.
of Miyagi-Do, the
Right.
But being that, he's a person who's no longer with us,
Yeah.
you could see why incorporating him as much as they do would be tough. But it's like now you know that he had a relationship with Daniel's daughter and they all like he was with the family for all it's like this nice like backstory about what their life was like after the movies ended, and it was
Yeah.
just very I loved this whole series so much, and I think it keeps getting better. I do agree with all the parents wanting to ban karate. Because it's like gangs breaking and entering into other people's homes and
Yeah.
Yo, where were the cops? Where were the parents? What happened to all these $1 million security systems that they have in these houses in these really nice, rich suburban homes?
And they somehow get into the dojo and vandalize.
that one
Yeah.
seemed easy
That
to
was-
get into, but the rest of them, like their homes, they're like,
Yeah.
let's have a party, but hey, let's invite the Cobra Kai people too. I'm like, don't invite the Cobra Kai people. And they're like,
It's
we're
not
gonna do it
end-
anyways.
It's not gonna end well.
I was just thinking, the kid that is trying to basically woo Samantha,
Which one? There's
jerk.
two of them.
the jerk, the bully guy, the
Robbie?
Robbie or Miguel, because they're not real bullies.
Miguel's not a bully.
No,
he gets
no.
bullied.
Amanda, you're getting very defensive, of Miguel. I'm talking about
Miguel's a citizen.
I know the guy who bullies Miguel in the first.
yes, like the one when Miguel comes out
When
of the.
he's looking to date
forgot about him.
Samantha.
Oh, the
Samantha.
guy who beats him up in the locker room. Yeah,
Yes.
he's kind of a jerk. I wanted him to like.
No, he really
get
is.
punched
But
in the
I
stomach a
I
couple
kind of
times.
assumed they would sort of because when he's invited to dinner for the first time and Daniel's trying to impress him with the Japanese food.
He's like, I hate this. Do you have like chicken fingers?
Yeah, and
God.
and like he gives a look like when Daniel mentions about the bruise that's on his face, and at first I thought, okay, does he probably come from a tough home? Is he a bully because like the classical thing about bullies, has it tough at home and he's just lashing out, but they never went anywhere. He was just literally a dick. You're gonna have
Well,
to.
yeah,
Yo, he was great, eh?
that's like the Karate Kid, the first movie. We don't know anything about Johnny. We just know that he is in this dojo that teaches crap, and he uses that against other people.
I was just hoping they'd go somewhere.
And if I'm remembering correctly, didn't Hawk basically just wipe him out in like 3 moves in the tournament?
Yeah.
What I will say is
like-
that was beautiful. I was like, go Hawk. Hawk kind of annoyed me. I know that was the point of
In
his
the beginning,
character
he
arc.
annoyed me.
That was the point. But I was like, Hawk, get over it. You are still the same dude. You just changed your hair. It's the confidence
got a
that
All
matters.
right,
Sick-ass tattoo.
The guy playing Robbie, who my best friend, she's like, we haven't had young male jailbait this good since the second Twilight. How badass! You can tell the kid was like watching Bloodsport because when they go to that final match and they rip off their like shirts and he's like in the Van
such a
Damme
skinny
Frank Dukes like stance the whole time and just like saying come on. It was just goosebumps.
I
Goosebumps.
watched,
The Witcher didn't give me goosebumps the way that scene gave me goosebumps.
He was like a ripped, but he was like really skinny too. So every time he took his shirt off, I was just like, stop, child, put your shirt back on. He's like, check out my tattoo.
Hawk and the evil noise every time like you see his tattoo. Yeah, it's so good.
But the actor who plays Robbie. He definitely has that classic like 80s kind of
He's
look.
like a James Dean looking.
Yeah, he there is something about him.
Like Val Kilmer.
I was just gonna say.
he definitely has something.
covered.
But I was watching, I think it was Allure, and they had, the cast take a friendship test. So they had basically where they said, swap clothes with the person next to you. His face legit lit up, because the actor plays him, he goes, can I wear your dress? It was like the cutest thing. So they swapped their clothes. Mm-hmm. So he comes out strutting with the dress.
Confidence.
He was like adorable. He was like, can I wear your dress? Just an aside. He's adorable. But they all have great relationships.
Yeah, I hear
On
that.
screen.
I hear the same thing.
Yeah.
But that one guy in particular, the actor Robbie, he was just Robbie to me for now. Has like the Tom Cruise like spark. Like he's going to be.
But he's better than Tom Cruise. He's
Minus
going
the
to be
size.
better
He's a
than
better
Tom
person.
Cruise.
Nobody's better than Tom Cruise, but he's gonna be at that level. Tell me who's better than Tom Cruise. Name me anyone who's better than Tom Cruise.
I hate to give it to him, but you're right.
The biggest star in the world.
You hate to hand it to him, but
No.
It's the Scientology thing. Come on, he's not our friend. We don't have to deal with him at parties. We're like dealing with him like what kind of quality movies? We all just watched the Top Gun trailer, right? Didn't we just watch it? It came out yesterday.
Nope.
I was
Gun.
cooking
I've
when
never
it came
seen-
on.
I've never seen Top Gun.
First Top Gun,
Yeah.
I'm with Katie. Yeah, I'm
Sucks.
just not into it. But
It's a chick flick for guys, is what Top Gun is.
there's nothing wrong with that.
it's true.
Tell us how you really feel, Katie.
I want to see those fellas play some volleyball.
Oh,
alright?
God.
In North Carolina.
But this one looks excellent.
In North Carolina, there's a
thank
theme
you.
park called Carowinds, and it's run by Paramount Pictures. There is a Top Gun. The prized ride is the Top Gun roller coaster. So if you ever go to North Carolina and you're a Top Gun fan, you might want to go there.
Is the Top Gun film coming out, is that a remake or supposed to be a
Sequel.
sequel?
It's a sequel.
Yep, it takes place. This group of like savant, top level young pilots
Okay.
don't think anyone can teach them, and then they bring in this one guy who can teach them some things, the X factors that they don't know, and it's Maverick. And just watch it though. Hey man, name me one other actor who has consistently made a franchise better and better for 30 years than Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible came out in 95, 96. Still
It's
going.
been that long?
Seventh is on its way, and
He's
they
hurt
just
himself
keep
on that movie
getting
several times
better.
too.
I'm sorry, the first Mission Impossible is the best Mission Impossible. I can do without the others.
I'm sorry.
I like
that
the
you're
newer ones.
mistaken. We
Honestly,
just
the
figured out
last
what the next
two have been
podcast
great.
is.
The mission.
The Mission Podcast.
I've never seen any of those films. So.
I honestly didn't want to watch them growing up, but it was my boyfriend who made me sit down and watch them, and I actually respect it now. I have a lot of love for it. I really like the recent ones. They've been really fun to watch. I like that they're like not like it's not that they're not great. They're just a lot of fun to watch.
They are great,
And
they're a lot of fun. Yes.
It was funny. It was actually the one where he's playing Halo Infinite. I believe
That was Rogue Nation.
I was
Yeah.
working at GameStop at the time, and I was like, ooh, he got an early copy. He's going to get in trouble. I'm like, I'm calling Microsoft right now. I'm like, get you. I was like, they can't do that. I'm like, also, that laptop, I don't think so.
So you can effectively, if you haven't watched the Mission Possible, we'll get back to Cobra Kai in a second, but if you haven't watched Mission Possible,
Please do. It's a lot of
you
fun.
can get away with starting at the third one because that's where J.J. Abrams took over and basically rebooted the series into the characters and storyline that we all love that has continued to now. But the first two are interesting too, and they're their own thing. And yes, you're right, the first one's excellent.
Yes.
Anyway, Cobra Kai. Robbie could be the next Tom Cruise.
Why
Except
can't
it's
he
crazy.
just be his own thing? Why does he have to top
I agree with that sentiment.
other people?
I agree with that sentiment. But
Ben, you can say it. Don't mind Katie. He can be the next Tom Cruise.
I agree with the sentiment of
For
being
Ben, he's the next Tom
exactly
Cruise.
who you are.
Yeah.
But to me, you are the next Tom Cruise who looks like Val Kilmer.
I didn't even realize that didn't come to
If they
mind.
ever
Now that you
reboot
say
The
it, I
Lost
was like,
Boys, he's got to be in it. I approve of that recast.
Who would you want him to play?
You know, he's got to be one of the brothers. He's got to be like, if it's in a couple of years, he's got to be the older brother.
No,
he's got to be Michael.
Kiefer Sutherland.
No!
Wait, I missed the comment. What?
I'm saying he's got the face of a kid who, if they did a Lost Boys remake, I would be okay with him in it. But I feel like he should be like the new Michael.
Okay.
I can
That's how
see
I
that because
feel.
Corey Haim sort of looked a bit like Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, not Corey Haim. I'm talking about Michael, not his younger brother.
Michael was the one who didn't invite
Who's
you this time,
the?
Max.
He's the one who's like, why are you wearing those sunglasses? He's like, just leave me alone, Mom. I'm just gonna go upstairs and be brooding all day.
But I like how the grandfather was like in on it from like day one. Like something
All
is
the
not right.
goddamn vampires.
But he doesn't say anything. He just like observes as everything goes down. Yeah.
So back to Cobra Kai.
Well, one thing, going back to like the nostalgia feel of the 80s, what I will say is like, and I don't necessarily know if this worked as well, but like, maybe you won't agree about the corniness, because 80s...
That's what I thought. It had a
there
corniness
was
to
a
it.
corniness of the 80s, but it worked for the 80s. Like, I don't really know how well
It
the
translates to
corniness in
modern.
this show like really works. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like, it was really funny, because... Especially the whole school brawl, like when they flat
That
out
made me die.
broke out into a brawl, like, oh my god. Or like the guy that's going for the interview.
Where were the teachers?
But and
There was like one teacher who was like, I don't know
Scorpion,
what
what's
to
his
do.
name?
yeah, and he just
Scorpion
like
Stinger?
rips off his thing and says like, I'm an
Stingray.
expert, and just starts
Stingray.
karate chopping the kids or whatever.
I love that guy. He's so stupid.
But he's so cute. I like how he says like, don't worry, I got this. And he just starts like,
Like, who let this man in the school?
well, because he went for an interview because he wanted to be a security guard.
This man should not be around
But
children.
what's great is that he was serving time afterwards. Like they
Probation.
did
He had
acknowledge
probation too.
that you're a
Oh.
grown man, you can't enter a school and beat up kids. Like there were in
you
this
can.
in the but he did,
can.
but he served time for it, and he had
Yeah.
the ankle lock bracelet, whatever. Like
Oh.
Yeah, because I agree. There are
House
some
arrest.
kids, yeah.
He was great. I loved him. He was just like he was reliving the youth of his old days,
But I-
and he's
but
just
I-
like a frat
The
boy.
glory days.
But I felt sorry
God.
for him too, because I think it also, like, I wonder if they were also going with, you know how in society there are, like, some people, like, the minute you're adult, there are certain activities that you must cease immediately. So, like, if you're,
He's
like...
going to party with teenagers.
Well, that's...
Maybe.
That's a little... But, like, the whole thing that he wants to do karate, like, remember what his neighbor says, you're a loser? Like, he just goes, like, turns around. Doesn't he, like,
that was
yeah.
really funny.
Yeah, but I think it goes also like there are some things where they said like the minute you become an adult, you should just cease doing it. So like no video games. There is like a lot of stigma attached to adults that do certain activities. So I kind of
I can adult and play Pokemon any day of
You're
the
an
week.
adult, you're not allowed to be happy anymore.
Well, essentially,
Wasn't
that's
that what
it is.
Angelica in the Rugrats said? She's
But it-
like, now I got responsibilities.
Yeah,
It means I can't
but that's
have
what
fun
it is.
anymore.
Like with certain activities, it's almost like the minute you become an adult, okay, all happiness now must cease. Like you know,
Now you gotta pay taxes.
you gotta start
Health
adulting now.
insurance,
And I think with
rent.
certain activities, there still kind of is that stigma. Like if you're a certain age, you know.
I don't know because my uncle did jujitsu well into I think his mid to late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, but I was
So-
kind of wondering though if they were using his character to sort of illustrate that, like not necessarily that, because yeah, there are adults that still do martial arts,
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they
Olympics
were kind of
proves
using
that.
him as that example.
I mean, granted, they've made him like a cartoon character, basically, as for like a comic relief character all the way. But
Yeah.
yes, I do agree that it is nice that they incorporated like someone who's middle aged, like being able to join and learn with the kids.
Well, he
and not
lives
have
like
it
with
be-
his sister
not
or
have it
his
be
brother.
weird.
Yeah.
I forget which one. He lives like he's living in the basement of like his brother or sister's house, not his parents' house,
Yeah, it
right?
was his
It's like
sister's house.
his sister's house. I
feel
just
like
want to be like, shut up, mom.
Your best
but-
example of the like the sentimentality or the values of the 80s coming up against the values of today was when Miguel injured himself and then could have still fought on, and Johnny was like pushing him to do it, and Miguel was like, maybe, yeah, sure, coach, maybe, and eventually just decided on his own that he wasn't going to do it. And I was like, that was such a cool, interesting way. Like, they've made Miguel, like, we don't care anymore that he's the one who he's probably the only one who can beat Hawk, right? We don't care about that anymore. We
He's
care
gotta
about
be
his
the only
journey
one.
of figuring out where his real dad is, and all of a sudden this show has like blossomed into something completely different. And I'm just so, that's just very risky writing.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that.
No, and what I thought was really sad, and I only saw a clip of this, but like because Johnny becomes Miguel's father figure in the series, and Miguel finds Johnny like drunk,
Super drunk and says, I want to be a good father to you.
Yeah,
and he's
but
not
it's
talking about
and
Miguel.
he's not talking about Miguel. He's talking about Robbie, and I just seeing the scene, it's like, oh my god.
There was a lot of build for that, though. It's like, Robbie kind of hates his dad because he's not there, and his mom's run away with multiple guys and is now somewhere across the globe somewhere.
No, I think she was rehabilitated by that point, right?
There was, I think, first season we were established that she kind of just hangs out at bars and picks up guys, and then
Bless you.
she's like an escort of
Excuse
some
me.
kind. And
She's a single person
she's-
who dates. She's
Yeah.
Like,
not an escort.
I-
That's
well,
Speaking of old value ways of looking at people, like a woman who dates a lot is not an escort.
look, she's getting money for it.
She's
I
not.
feel like she's dating, but
She-
she's not very
wait,
good at
she
it.
Was getting money?
No, she dated one guy
She was just looking for a
who was
sugar
taking
daddy.
care of the rent for like the month,
A sugar daddy.
but it wasn't an escort service.
Not an escort. That's why I was gonna say like an unprofessional.
but I think she's also a good example of, because I'm assuming she had Robbie when she was very young. There are some people where almost like they become parents at too young of an age. They're not ready for that responsibility, and even into like obviously a lot older, she's not ready for that responsibility either.
Well, they were both drunk. They were both alcoholics, and
Yeah.
Johnny. They both stayed alcoholics well
Yeah.
into
But
as
I'm
we've
glad
seen.
that with
So
her character, they didn't keep her as the deadbeat mom or like like I'm glad that they gave her an opportunity. Amanda's like, ah.
Now this,
I don't.
you're
I'm-
right.
I don't think
This
she's a good
is
mom.
the magic, like the magic powder of that show is that no one's completely bad.
And no one's completely good.
Yeah, it's like
Except
the
for
good
John
ones
Kreese.
disappoint you sometimes, but they still hold out
Yeah.
being good. The bad ones aren't bad like you thought they were.
Except
and-
Terry Silver, because he's just a brutal.
But even
evil.
then, he wasn't bad at first.
He
was
betrayed
basically
Kreese.
brought. But who brought him back into that mindset?
I don't
You know,
know.
Kreese.
Crease, yeah.
So like, it's just a show of like
still do
imperfect
coke.
people who keep making mistakes.
But even Kreese wasn't that bad. We got some backstory on Kreese, which the backstory kind of confused me. At first, I didn't realize that was supposed to be Kreese, like the guy bussing the tables. But he had a heart of gold too. Like he.
I wouldn't
could've
say a
had
heart
pot-
of gold.
Well,
we have what we
if
see
I were to
is
say
like
heart of gold, Amanda, I'm gonna say heart of gold. He had potential,
he,
and the dark side corrupted him.
but he also the dark side.
There's a dark side. War corrupted him.
It does. The show does a very good job of like, which is it's in some ways sort of makes the only like difficult character to get behind is the bully kid who you're talking about who was hitting on
Yeah, Miguel.
because there's no
F
explanation
that
for why
kid.
he's the way he is.
Yeah.
But we see that there's like nobody got here randomly. Like everyone has a backstory as to why they are who they are. And
Except that kid. That kid's just a.
yeah, well, we're still working on him, but he's also being treated the
got
way
to.
someone like that should be treated. He's basically just like a heavy who gets knocked around every season now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I've lost the thread here, but everyone has a reason why who they are, and no one's fully like unsympathetic.
And I also like going back to when Johnny's talking to his wife when he sees her in the bar with her date, and he's basically ripping into her, and she says, "Well, who was there when he was sick with this? Who was there?" Mm-hmm. So he's just saying how you're calling me a deadbeat, but I was there for these moments. Where were you? And I think that also makes Johnny realize that he can't take the high road in this situation. But like I said, I do like, though, that they made her on her way towards rehabilitation. That
I wondered what happened to her for a while. I was like, oh, so they just completely
I
cut
hope
her
that
out?
She and Johnny not that they have to get back together, but they can be active parents in Robbie's life. Because even the ending with Robbie, where like he flat out tells Johnny, "I want nothing to do with you," but at the end he breaks down and he says basically like, "You're my dad. I need you to be my dad. Like I need you to step up." And Johnny realizes he needs to step up.
I think another heartbreaking scene as well is when after Robbie kicks Miguel over the railing at school and he gets hurt, and Daniel kind of like breaks his trust with Robbie, getting like thinking that he wants to face justice, that the police come, and that whole again father figure relationship kind of like just crumbles after he's sent to juvie. And then what is it, after juvie he joins Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
He's very like, it's kind of funny because I was like trying to put together like a list of characters from the show, and the one thing I heard about Robbie was like, I'm like, he's like Johnny's kid. He also flip-flops sides like every season. One season he goes to like Miyagi-Do, and then the next season he's at Cobra Kai, and the next season he's at Miyagi-Do, and then
yes, but it all checks out. It's all understandable why, and that's what makes him like a really interesting character to watch. Yeah. And he's sort of like the best of both of those practices. Mm-hmm. And so the only reason he lost against Hawk is because he hesitated for a moment, and that's like because he was more Miyagi-Do at that moment. And I love how they had to change their philosophies of how they fought. Like he's been in Cobra Kai way longer than me, and then like, fight like you're in Miyagi-Do or something. Yeah, it was.
Let's talk about the resident bad girl of the show.
Tori
is a little murderer, is what she's gonna be.
Tori's got like a chip on her shoulder.
She literally went after Samantha, and what did she use? She's like, I'm not gonna use my fists anymore. I'm gonna use that studded. First off, that bracelet is like $2. Yeah, that's like one of those cheapo cardboard,
how do you know
not
she
real
didn't
leather.
Like sharpen it? She had like a blade sharpener before the match.
Because that's plastic. I know, because I had those. I know everyone in my high school had those, so they're like the cheapo like Hot Topic like $5.99 bracelet that's legit. Cardboard.
So you're assuming she got Hot
Clearly
Topic
they're legit to leave that mark. Because she literally went, she was like, nah, I got brass knuckles now.
Yeah, the way she folded that bracelet over her fists, that didn't look metal at all. That looked plastic to me.
Oh, yeah, no. I was like, girl, she wearing them plastic. But, like, then she, like, hit her with, I'm like, yo, she's out to kill. She is, like, Hawk's over here like, I'm a hawk. But she's like an eagle about to, like, she got the talons out all the time. She's like...
Do we, because I didn't really watch anything further than the first few episodes, but do we, and I've seen clips for other characters.
Her backstory?
Yeah, do we know what
give you bits and
So you know, Simona, anytime I ever poke fun at you for fast-forwarding through movies, just remind me that Katie doesn't even watch the stuff.
So we get a little bit of her background.
Thanks, Ben.
We get a little bit of her background, but not like a whole like background story. It's just through like different moments. We know that she basically works a ton of jobs to try to support her family. Mm-hmm. I don't know where her parents are. All I know is that she kind of lives basically alone with her siblings in an apartment. Her mom's sick.
Yeah,
okay.
She takes care of her mom's hospital.
She has like 50 billion jobs to try to pay off debt, and her rent's always due. And then that's when Johnny that's when not Johnny.
Yeah, and then Kreese is the one who protects her. Like
he basically says, "I understand what you're going through. I'll help you out if you help me."
I think it's also a matter of it kind of reminded me of The Breakfast Club.
All these kids are very tropey, like The Breakfast Club. Yes.
But what's his?
Which kid?
The bad boy character of The Breakfast Club.
Judd
we
Nelson?
Love him.
Yes.
Yeah. Bender, that's his name.
Thank you. When you look at Bender...
That's why you need to be on camera.
Yeah.
Joe didn't want to be in this.
When you look at
I
Bender,
didn't watch the show. I'm sorry.
you can still he still contributes in his own way.
Get in here.
When you look at Bender, he obviously has a lot of aggression issues. And then there's the epic reveal where he explains that he's basically a victim of abuse and parental neglect. But the other characters, with the exception of the silent emo one, I can't remember her name either.
Emo one. Tori, the same girl we've been talking about?
No,
she's
no,
not
Ali
silent.
Sheedy?
No, in Breakfast Club.
Oh, I
Ali
liked
Sheedy?
her.
Yes,
The
yes,
flake thing.
yes. The 80s equivalent of, she probably wouldn't have had that category at the time, but her, I think
She's like a goth kid.
She's the only one that really sees past the
BS.
clicks.
Judd Nelson's like facade, so to speak. And I think she's the, and like the other, my whole point in bringing this up is that the other characters basically rely, okay, you're just a stoner, you're no good, you're worthless. And my point was that Kreese's character sees also past Tori's tough girl experience. Like, okay, I know you're in pain. You're dealing with a lot. You're also dealing with a scuzzy landlord. I thought it was going to go there where he was going to like sexually harass her.
Yo, the landlord wanted some. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. And I was like, get
So
out of
he
here.
recognizes also that her response to things, not that it justifies it, because I'm glad that the show, like Miguel calls her out on that just because your life is hard, it doesn't mean you get to act violently or take it out on others. But Kreese understands, okay, there's more to this, what's going on. Like she has built up this sort of tough exterior because she needs to be tough. Yeah. So that's her default response. And Kreese sees that. You got Amanda who's taking the high road, although Samantha, sorry, not Amanda. Sorry, Amanda.
Samantha, for a little while, might have been taking the high road.
Samantha was very
But then she went
wishy-washy.
on a vengeance tear. and
Yes. Like
They all had a vengeance arc.
But I love when she confronts Tori and she's like, I don't know who you think you're fooling, but mess with me. She says, and I will end you. And how she turns around and just like, and I was like, oh my God. Samantha went to the dark side too.
That's what the show was all about. It's like Cobra Kai, dark side.
I think this is why everyone's favorite character is Amanda. Is that it?
the wife
of LaRusso?
Danny's wife. Yeah.
Amanda.
Because she's basically us watching all this, being like, "This is so ridiculous." And
She's
then
like,
she
"What are you doing
talks
to my
Tori, and she's
daughter?"
like, "I don't care. I don't care who wins this fight. I just want this to be over with you."
Yeah.
It was like she is such a strong character. Like she was so good that I loved the episode where Elizabeth Shue came back, and like they all sat at like a Christmas dinner table together.
Yeah.
She's like,
But-
your mom's driving me nuts.
It was like almost like Elizabeth Shue was just sort of like this thing that had to happen, but it was Amanda's reactions that were like what made that thing.
And I think another good thing was that it brought up another, like, not issue, but another reality where you're a working mom. But I like how it didn't seem like they were preaching to us about this topic. Because basically she was saying, you know, I work. I may not always be able to make fresh food, but I'm still providing a meal. Because, like, Daniel's mom was like, it's not really cooking if you're buying it. Oh, it's not really. And I was so happy that Amanda said, just be quiet. Because the mom was starting to annoy me. Mm-hmm. I was like, get off your high horse. And, you know, like, and I love how she said, you know, like, I'm
She knows some
providing.
karate of her own. She's like, what's your word, karate?
Yeah, so I like how that reality was addressed, but I didn't feel like they were preaching to us about that. It was done such a way where they're putting the message across, but I don't feel like there's someone on a soapbox saying, this is the I like that moment. And then I like how they come together and they actually have cooked something together, like afterwards, I think. Like,
Yep.
don't they cook a meal together? It was
And
nice.
that's you've nailed like something that makes this show so like all around digestible for everyone, is that it doesn't take this hard stance on any value. It just it shows everyone working out their shit and getting along.
Yeah,
Can
like,
you say
what-
that like Amanda also is the only character who confronted any teenager? She literally went to Tori's job and was like, "Don't touch my daughter."
Yeah, and got
I was
fired.
like, "Oh no!" She's at the rest. She's like, "Oh." I saw Tori's face. She's like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "Oh no." It's like that meme little "oh no" thing in the background, but it's like I'm like, she's gonna fight her, and she's like, "Don't touch my daughter." And I'm over here like, "Don't become a Karen, Amanda. Don't do it." She's
But
like,
what was great about that is that, hey, you can't go to someone's job and do that. And
Yeah,
of
that's
course,
right?
immediately what happens is Tori gets fired,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden now Amanda's like, I just want to call her Miss LaRusso because I don't know if her name's actually Amanda.
her name is Amanda
Her name's
LaRusso.
Amanda
Yeah.
LaRusso. All right.
You can say Amanda.
Already she like, I shouldn't have done that. I screwed up, and then the show does a good job of that all throughout. Can't wait for season 5.
Yeah, there were a lot of. I liked Tori's character. I mean, I and also like another good moment about how
Tori needs to stop being a jealous little punk. Is what
In
she
real
needs to
life,
stop being.
she's dating Hawk.
really.
Aw,
They're together.
I love it.
Oh. Another
So
like
I love
she's a
that.
side character, but she's the vegan character who's all like hippie love. Like in one scene, she's singing.
Oh,
a
and
song,
she's
but-
dating another girl and stuff
So
like that.
great.
She leaves Hawk
But
for
what I
her.
love about that moment is that you assume she's gonna be like one of the mean girls throughout the show, and then she almost has this like I didn't recognize it was the same character
Yeah, she changed a lot.
because now she's all like vegan apparently. Like she's strumming the guitar, singing about
Yo,
peace
she's
and
ready. She's-
love.
And she single-handedly gave Hawk his confidence back.
Yes, because she made him realize what was there all along. It's not the freaking hairstyle. It's not you
Or the
acting like a
tattoos.
jerk. Or
I
the-
don't know.
I mean, essentially, he's the same person. It's just that he thinks, okay, I need to get the mohawk and I need to whatever. But it's like, and I think it proves that when he gets shaved down, he
Which
sort of
was-
is reduced to the same character he was in the beginning. But that girl, I'm going to call her hippie girl because I don't remember what her name
I
is.
didn't put her name down because she was very
But when
irrelevant.
she makes the
She was
kale-
like a
the
side
kale
character.
She's a great character because I think she also subverts the stereotype that you think she's going to be like the other girl that gets the wedgie up front, which I thought was.
Who became
Yo,
like
and
the greatest
Dimitri's
character.
boyfriend, girlfriend,
Yes.
sorry.
I was like, thank you for that. Like when she just up and like yanked her from. I was like, yes.
I
thank
died. I
you.
was like,
I had that reaction too. Like when she legit pulled. I was like. But
I think
it was
every
such a good
woman
moment.
cringed. They were just like, we've never wanted to experience that, and most of us will never experience that, and we're just like,
But it was a good moment.
I loved in it was the final tournament when Hawk was Dimitri was trying to game plan, and Hawk basically they had like a Star Wars conversation in order to game plan the actual fight that he was about to have. I was so enamored with that. Just think that's yeah.
Yeah, but I like when you mentioned about geek culture and how this show doesn't make fun of it. It reminds me of a former staff member. Like we were doing a Harry Potter event, and she says because we're doing this for the nerds.
Yeah, screw that person.
And I remember
Oh.
inwardly I was like, what I felt like saying, but I couldn't say it at the time was, but that's the whole point. You want to do this event for those that are passionate. First of all, I felt offended because I love
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
oh, I'm like, yeah.
And I was like, but that's why you do events. You want people to come. It's like I remember that just like bothered me so
I know people like
much.
Harry Potter.
Yes,
I know
was
what they
like-
want.
Isn't that the most frustrating thing when you realize like some of your bosses are like just idiots, and you actually have to still work for them?
Well, she was one of the reasons why I lacked confidence in programming in general. So, which is why I never wanted to do another program with her. I was like, this is just too much. You're not making it fun anymore.
Just make clear, I'm never talking about you, Paul. You're the best boss I've ever had.
Yeah, we're
No
we're not
bosses
talking-
here.
And I
My
mean that.
bosses are
I've
all
said that
really
to you
cool.
5 times. You're no idiot. You're the
Shout
man.
out to Michelle who loves horror movies and even gave me part of her horror movie
and I'm
collection.
definitely not talking about you, Michelle, because you're
Yeah.
Love you, Michelle.
But it was
talking
just.
about previous jobs.
But that's
Previous
what it
jobs,
reminded
definitely.
me of. Like when you made that comment, I was like, that's true. This show doesn't talk down to the people that love these.
Well, if you make fun of the nerds, they'll cancel you online. Watch out.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what we'll do. If you make fun of the nerds, if you make fun of Star Wars, if you make fun of any fandom, you'll guarantee that Twitter, Facebook,
we mentioned
anything,
Star
you're going to
Wars,
get...
And I can do this aside because Star Wars is mentioned in the series. And I'll quickly do this. I was watching clips of people reacting to The Mandalorian. Spoiler. When,
Just spoil it.
when
They've had their
It's
chance.
already
Skywalker's character comes to pick up. I'm going to call him Baby Yoda. I know he's not Yoda.
Grogu.
Grogu.
It's Grogu.
Baby Yoda.
You
when
can say
he
Baby
comes to
Yoda,
pick
acceptable.
up Baby Yoda, and I was watching fans reacting to it, and I was starting to get emotional. I was like, but I get it. Because these are characters you're emotionally invested in.
Yeah,
And
I got emotional.
yeah, and it was
just
such,
from
it
watching
I
was
was
such a
like-
beautiful moment. You had people crying. You had people where it's like, who is it? Is it Luke? And they said, oh, it's the lightsaber. And I'm watching with them like, oh my God, who is it? And like that final reveal. And that's why I'm bringing up that
I was like, he's coming.
there's a reason why these communities exist.
Yeah.
And I think it's complete disrespect to the fandoms when you sort of make fun of these people because like they're the geeks or so I'm happy, showrunners, that you did not make fun we're gonna call it geek culture or whatever. So
Nerd
that's
culture.
what
Yeah,
that's
and
what I appreciated.
And as a PSA, anyone who does try to like bring people down for really loving something, like you can just eat a turd.
There's some fandoms, though, I don't agree with that statement for.
Which fandoms?
I'm not going to go into it because I know them. I know who you are.
But this is a safe space where we talk about
So-
fandoms, as everyone knows.
Yes. So because I wish I knew. Is the mean girl like the blonde we
Tori?
see?
Oh, the popular girl, the head of the
popular
popular girls
mean
who
girl.
dates Dimitri?
What?
You see it happen throughout the series.
Is that just the first season, or is
No,
it?
she's-
No, she
No,
shows up
she's
at least
throughout.
once in every season, but then she becomes more prominent in the...
So in the second season, or is it the end of the first, where Dimitri has the broken arm, and like people are like,
when
he's
Hawk
got-
breaks his arm.
yeah. So that's second season because that was after
Yeah.
the arcade.
Yeah.
She like shows up and she's like, guys are like that bully guy draws a giant on Dimitri's cast, and like she says, "Come here," right? And this and then you see her write something, and it says something like, I love Dimitri's big," or something like that. And then like they just get closer and closer in these little like 2-minute segments. And
He's
by
the
the
ultimate
end-
revenge of the nerd.
So she
yeah.
she doesn't be the stereotypical mean.
She gets
popular
better.
Girl.
No,
She gets
everyone
better.
gets redeemed.
Okay.
Except for
Yeah.
the bully guy.
Because after her
he's a
frontal,
joke.
after her frontal wedgie,
I don't
she
need his
goes to
redemption.
France, and there's this scene where she comes back. She was like, and she's like expecting things will wash over, but I think someone makes a comment in passing. But I think she's with, I'm gonna call her hippie girl. I think she's walking with hippie girl, and hippie girl is like, let it go, you know, like sunshine vibes.
Everyone's like sunshine rainbow.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I like is that most of the characters, with the exception of bully guy, whose name I can't remember,
Nobody
from the
can. We
very
just don't like
beginning.
him.
I think his name is Kai. Why do I think it's his
Like Kyle or something. I don't know.
I
I tried to
don't
look him
know.
up, but
We'll
they
call
don't
him
even know.
douche guy, with the exception
Yeah!
of douche guy. Everyone else like subverts the trope of what you're gonna expect from these.
We need
characters.
someone to hate in the show, and he's perfect. I just want his face to get beat all the
Well,
time.
we can't hate on Kreese. I think we can hate on.
Well, now he has a
Well, Kreese is-
backstory, and we
Kreese
feel
has been
bad for
given-
him now.
So you gotta watch.
The
Kreese has-
effects of
there's-
war.
Oh, I know his backstory, but
he
can,
also
can
has-
we? Can we
But in the
use
last
do we
season, he got
really-
betrayed.
But do we really need the backstory to like?
He shows
that's what makes them likable.
redeeming qualities throughout season 3.
He
and
gets
4.
better. Yeah, he's kind of starts off as kind of like an a-hole, and you're just like, oh, get out of here. You're just causing trouble. And then he starts to get better, but and at the end of like season 4, he gets betrayed, and you're just like, what? And that's why I'm like, oh no, the formula, it broke. What's going to happen?
I legit felt sorry when Johnny sees him forlorn, like he's following him in the car, and I'm like, the guy's gonna see you. Is he gonna see? And then he goes to this. Like,
They're not sneaky in the
this
show.
yeah, but no one has peripheral vision. Like, it doesn't exist in films. And he follows him, and then you're like, oh, I said I wanted to be able to hate this man. You just threw a wrench in. Like, I want to be able to say he's the bad guy. That's the end of it. No, I had to give him a tragic backstory. Down on his luck. I was like, I hate you, show.
Well, we
But I felt
love.
really bad for him. I was like, oh.
We hate to love villains, and
Yeah.
But a lot of the
but what
times,
makes
villains
villains
are the
so
more
great?
engaging
That's the
ones, to
point.
be
Is that
perfectly
they are
honest.
just like you, except
So I'm
they
guessing
did something about
in
it.
next season they're going to bring back that guy Mike who worked with Cobra Kai from the 3rd movie, right? The one who worked with
Maybe
Terry
he's the
Silver.
one working with Terry now.
Yeah, because that guy was a straight up like kook villain, but I don't know. Anyway, solid little
after-
Cobra Kai discussion.
After this discussion, I'll definitely give it another shot and watch it.
Don't
Now
take
you
it
have to watch
seriously.
8 Mission Impossible films.
Do I really have
There's
to?
only 6. I'm just
Look,
kidding.
you don't have
I
to
don't
binge
really
watch it in
want
2
to.
weeks.
I
Just-
love the first movie. I will take the first movie.
The trouble with the first movie is that you have to go to the second movie after that, and they're so starkly different from each other. One's like a John Woo film that's in like half.
I think
slow
it is
motion.
John Woo film.
the
It's
other
got the
one-
doves.
Doesn't know how to cut John Woo.
Yeah, and then the first
Because
one's
Well,
like
I've,
the
I've
twins.
seen the second one.
I love John Woo.
But the third-
Some of the best stuff ever.
You ever seen that
Hollywood
movie?
just doesn't know what to do with them.
But the third movie is where it finds its mojo, and it just that's
Isn't
like the
the
starting
third
point.
movie with
Michelle Monaghan, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That one. I saw that one.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I like him.
Yep.
So-
And after that, it just skyrockets. Best franchise.
So, last licks. We're down to a minute before we have to end our action-packed podcast. Blah, blah, blah. That was a
A mouthful?
mouthful right there. So, last licks. I love Johnny. Johnny is the only reason that kept me watching the show because he started off as a bad guy, or not a bad guy, but he was kind of like a deadbeat, and I didn't like him, and he was just very aggressive.
Johnny is
a little
amazing.
But I love him because he gets better, and I like seeing people like them struggle through life. And I also hate Danny because he constantly comes in and he's like, oh, I was like, let's see what he's up to. He's maybe not a bad guy anymore. And then he walks in and he like comes in at the wrong time every time. And he's like, I knew you were like a piece of poop.
Again.
And he's like,
But again, trauma. Trauma plays a
I think
big
it's
thing in
tension.
this. No,
I think it's romantic tension.
I think it's just trauma.
I think they just need to hug and
well,
each other a
don't
kiss on the
Don't
cheek.
they at the end of their tournament they had
They need a
tie
kiss on
and
the
then they
cheek.
work together?
they need a kiss on the cheek.
They are bad communicators.
And that's what
And
makes
that's
the
what the problem
romance
is.
so
Yeah.
good.
They're
I ship Danny and Johnny.
They're redeemed. There's no more problems with. There can't be any more problems like that with Johnny and Daniel at this point because it's been 4 seasons of it, and they've come at that inability to communicate effectively with each other to the point where they actually fought, and they fought to a draw. So now, if you're a good writer, you move on from it, and
Yeah.
they will because there's only like 2 seasons left.
So, all right. I think we'll end this here for the week. I hope you guys had fun. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you can get all the updates when our videos come out. Also, keep tuned in for some of our other podcasts coming up. I know that the Fairy Fable Librarians have a new podcast coming up as soon
Yeah, I watched
as
the one on
well.
Cinder. It was good.
If you haven't already checked out their first 2 videos, first 2 or 3, is it 3?
I think it's
You had a
2.
reaction one and
we
also...
did Cinder. We talked about Cinderella.
And they did Cinderella. So if you're into fables, tales, fairy tale, folklore, stuff like that, breaking down some of your favorite children's classics, check them out. It's a really fun podcast that breaks it all down.
As well as some alternative fairy tales as well.
Yes.
Yeah, our latest episode was on Vox Machina.
The Legend of
So,
Vox Machina, which
We're
is
very
the
excited.
adult animated series. Yes.
Oh, that's by the Critical Role people,
Yes,
right?
it
Yeah, I
is.
really have to watch that.
Yes, you
It's,
do.
it's really good.
It's
And
great.
so do you at home. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week, all right?
Bye.
Bye.